TESOL jobs in France. General information. Whether it is the truly great center of culture and fashion to be found in Paris or the verdant countryside in the Dordogne, France is a huge draw for tourists, people spending a year or two abroad, and expatriates who have decided to make France their home. As well as the world-renowned food and wine, it is good to remember that France is a country of seasons. Paris is particularly pleasant in the springtime, but in the hot summer Parisians make for the south or the Côte d'Azur, looking for a good tan and a little of the beach lifestyle. In the winter, skiing in the Pyrenees or the French Alps is very popular. Timing is also important since the large cities tend to empty a little between mid-July and the end of August, when many take their annual 5-week vacation. Not precisely the best time to arrive looking for a job. Teaching. Anyone wishing to teach in a state or private school must expect to have a degree, a postgraduate certificate in education and a TESOL qualification. 2 years as language teaching experience is usually a requisite for these sort of posts. With language institutes you can, in the main, expect to find yourself teaching business people, with one being regarded as a trainer rather than a teacher. Enthusiasm for English is somewhat higher than it has been historically, though not as high, for example, as it is in Germany or Holland, meaning both the market is not as broad, and the motivation of those being taught is not quite as great. Most English tuition in high schools is performed by French people, and increasingly institutes are calling for relevant qualifications, such as B.Ed, PGCE, CELTA, TESOL or Delta. But anybody with an undergraduate degree who looks at home in a business environment may well find work. It should also be noted that it is fashionable in certain circles to learn American English, so some unusual openings are here for those from the US of A. In the main you will find yourself teaching students who have many years' experience of English. Hence, expect intermediate, upper intermediate and advanced students. Whilst it is exhilarating and rewarding to teach such students, it is important to prepare your classes well and make sure you are clear about the areas you are teaching, particularly with grammar. You don't want to find yourself being corrected about tenses by your students. Visas and regulations. Most state schools are not prepared to go through the difficult process of hiring native English-speaking teachers from outside of Europe. However, in some cases it is easier to place teachers from the US than from other countries, such as Australia and New Zealand. Non-EU citizens should check with the Belgian consulate in their native country to look for language exchange programs, etc. Americans may wish to contact InterExchange, www.interexchange.org, of New York, who run an exchange program. One of the complications is the reciprocal social security system that exists within the EU. High schools are required to register their staff for a social security card and also pay part of their contributions. They are generally not willing to take on anybody who is ineligible. Most individuals working for institutes are self-employed or freelance. Therefore, they are responsible for paying their own tax and social security. New arrivals are required to register with the police, organize a bank account into which their wages will be paid, and get a tax number from their local tax office. Almost as legendary as French wine is French bureaucracy, and the prospective traveler must remember to pack not only their passport but also an original copy of their birth certificate, a French translation, and original copy certificates and qualifications. On arrival in France, it is necessary to register as an alien resident within 3 months of arrival, or as soon as you get a job. This application needs to be made at the local police station where you live. A social security number will be issued to you so that your employer can start making contributions on your behalf. For non-EU nationals it is extremely difficult to get a work permit and in no way follows automatically on getting a job offer. But this is not the final word. Many Americans, for example, do indeed teach in France. Often they are part of an exchange program, or they have student status. Some choose to teach under the table. These are angles to think about. popular destinations. Paris is obviously a big draw, but comes with a great big price tag for accommodation. In the provinces it is hard not to simply stick a pin in a map and end up somewhere nice. It is important to remember that once outside of Paris and its metro, France is rather big, spread out country. Hence, if you find yourself teaching freelance in the Dordogne, you will most certainly need some form of transportation. But there's plenty on offer in terms of countryside, seaside, big cities and big landscapes. Think carefully about what you like most, and you're sure to find it on offer somewhere. Getting a job. When trying to get work in advance, it is useful to contact the British Council in Paris. They keep a list of language schools, both private and state. In addition to that, the online Yellow Pages is a useful resource. The Dica Guide de la Formation, published by Generation Formation, 27 Rue du Chemin Vert, 75,011 Paris, is a directory of training organizations in France. However, it retails at E381 and is obviously best consulted in a library. The Franco-British Chamber of Commerce supports an association of TESOL teachers called the Language Network, 22 Ave. Pascal, 93,330 Neuilly-sur-Marne, 1,044,648 223. The Centre International d'Études Pédagogiques, 1045-07-6098, offers about 1,500 assistantships a year. Undergraduates and graduates under the age of 30 can spend an academic year working as an assistant, which pays around €900 a month. On the spot, things become a little more tricky. In Paris, there is a host of language schools around Gare Saint-Lazare, in addition to which there are a great number of expatriate grapevines in and around Paris. On the metro in Paris, there are often language schools advertised, and at the British Institute there is a notice board that has the occasional ad for a teacher. Further to this, there is a network of contacts to be made centered around church communities, and this may be useful for some. Leafleting and carding institutes is always a good standby, and a professional CV and a covering letter in impeccable French may well bring its own reward. It is common to find people swapping room and board for English tuition, so that is something to keep an eye out for. TESOL jobs in France. If you are looking to obtain one of the most powerful TESOL certifications with real-life teaching practice, come to one of our 2 training centers in France. Upon successful completion of the course, you will be able to find a job teaching English as a foreign language in France, Europe or across the world. Our in-depth recruitment support will find you your dream job. France has long been a popular destination for many who want to become a TESOL teacher. What lures thousands of people is the good food and wine, excellent historic attractions, fashion, exquisite architecture and simply the French way of life. Once you're there, you will not want to leave. Not only Paris, but virtually anywhere throughout France you can find beautiful towns and cities with their own unique charm. Who wouldn't enjoy lying on the beach in the Côte d'Azur, walk through a field of lavender in the Provence, or enjoy the finest wines in the city of Bordeaux? TESOL France. Due to the high demand for TESOL teachers in France, you will be able to find a position after successfully completing your course. Even though a lot of TESOL graduates try to find employment in the bigger cities, smaller cities and towns are also looking for qualified teachers. There are 20 courses available year-round in our 2 training centers in Paris and Brittany, making it easy for anyone to enroll. Should you still not be able to join the course, the combined course option could be your right choice. Here, after completing an online portion of the course, you get 1 week of intensive teaching practice at one of our centers. TESOL course in Brittany, France. If the bustling city life in Paris isn't your cup of tea, come to our campus in Brittany. The training center here is located in a smaller town surrounded by lush nature and the Atlantic to the north. It's the ideal location to find peace amid intensive weeks of training, and you can fully immerse into local culture. This region is most famous for its stunning natural beauty and fine cuisine. Convenient public transit will get you anywhere quick, and you can even take weekend trips to the capital and other major cities should you miss city life every once in a while. TESOL course in Paris, France. Being nicknamed one of the most beautiful cities on earth, Paris is truly a rare gem in Europe. The city offers marvelous historic sites, renowned art and fashion attractions and iconic architecture, from the Louvre and Arc de Triomphe to the Eiffel Tower and Notre Dame. Besides, you get to experience the French way of life with an endless selection of bars, restaurants and cafes. On top of that, you will hold one of the most valuable TESOL certifications in France in hand, which will enable you to start an international career in teaching English across the globe.